Hi, welcome to the first module of Broadcast Training. This is going to be a series of videos that will get you up and running properly in Premiere, beginning with how to start a Premiere project. Now, you may already have experience in this realm since it is fairly basic, but there may be some things in this video that will help your workflow to be more productive. The purpose of these lessons is to give you an introduction to the software so that you can expand on that with your trainers and on your own. My goal is to not waste any of your time, so I'm going to jump right into each lesson and go through it as quickly as possible while still giving you all the information that I think you need. So before opening Premiere, I want to touch on the importance of organization. There are a lot of different types of files that go into video projects, and knowing where they are housed will help you immensely because it can get real sloppy real quick. With that said, it is important to keep your information and all your assets and projects on an external hard drive. That way, if you have computer issues or if another member of your team needs to pick up your project and run with it, they can simply move the file from one computer to the other without having to transfer all those files or possibly have them lost.
If you look right here on my desktop, I have a pre-existing folder that I've already created based on a date, 18/07/18, and it's called Premiere Training. Now, I recommend that you name it by date and the actual title of your project. Once I open this folder, you will see that inside are several folders that will be the default for every project I create from here out. This is not an end-all be-all. Feel free to make your whatever folders you need to in order to support the project that you're working on, but this is a good start. Premiere Project folder is going to house the actual autosave files that I may need if Premiere crashes or I need to move to a new computer or I need to go back and fix something else. The rest are pretty self-explanatory to include exports, which is my final sequence. Okay, now that Premiere is open, a lot of people will just go click New Project, click OK, and get started. However, you need to take into consideration that there is several portions here. There's New Project, there's Open Project, and there's your recent projects. Here you will see this projects that have been opened recently, and you can jump straight to them just by clicking on them. If you go to Open Project, it'll open up a File Explorer window, and you can navigate to the project that you need to get to and open that one directly if it doesn't show up in the recent projects. Or if you want to start a new project, you can click New. You need to title the project with a name. Again, date dash project name is probably the best thing to name your project so that you understand what it is as opposed to just untitled. Once you do that, choose your location. Now I have this folder which is currently on the desktop. However, I recommend whenever you make projects, you save them on an external hard drive or something that is removable. Because you never know when you're going to be in a situation where the computer crashes and you need to just move to a new computer. If all of your assets and the project are in a single folder, then you can take that folder, plug it into a new computer, and pick up where you left off seamlessly. So once I've done this and all my other stuff is set, these are pretty default. I wouldn't worry too much about them. The biggest thing here is making sure that your graphics card uses the CUDA card if you have it available. This will ensure that you have the best playback possible. I'm going to start from a pre-existing project, and going from here, you'll see Premiere open in a default pattern. Notice there's plenty of windows here that are taking up a lot of usable space on your screen. This is your timeline where it'll be built and where you will see your files dropped in order to create your actual sequence. But the first things first, I want to talk about your actual workspace. This is your workspace as a whole. Understanding that your workspace uses a small amount of screen space and therefore your space is limited and crucial to your expediency is a big factor. So with that in mind, I'm going to go through and I'm going to get rid of all of the tabs that I don't need. Info just gives you the info about a specific image or clip that you're tabbed on. Libraries is a Creative Cloud thing. I don't need that. Media Browser is a way to import assets, and I will get into that in the import video, so I don't need that right now. Markers, I don't need. This is to identify certain spots on the timeline, whether you're correcting another individual's project, or you want to just lay markers so that you understand where something is. I don't need that on a regular basis. History is pretty self-explanatory and helps you go back in time. Audio clip mixer is good used when you are actually editing audio, but it's not a full-time thing, so I don't need that. Now I have gotten down to the bare essentials of what I will need while I'm creating a project. Also, I don't need metadata. I've gotten to the bare essentials of what I need in order to create a project. Now it's about setting up my workspace to best utilize the space that I have available. You can do that by simply clicking and dragging the windows that you have in order to fill the space as needed. You can also click on tabs and move them to other locations. Notice that if you move them from spot to spot, you'll see different areas become blue. Basically what that's saying is that is where that is going to drop. If I drop it over here where this whole bar is green, it's going to drop this effects tab on the left side of the screen. It's going to take up half of the screen, just like so. If I don't want to have half of the screen taken up by effects, I may drop it into the bar that is at the top of my source window. In addition to that, I have my project window here. I'm going to put that right up here with the rest of my effects and effect controls. I'm going to drop my source window right in the middle. I might use this. It may not be used though at the same time. So once I have my program window set up, which is where my timeline will be played, and my timeline takes up as much space as possible at the bottom, I'm fairly set. Over here I have my audio tool, which shows you how loud your actual sequence is. Over here I have my tools. My project window shows me all my assets. My effects give me a palette of effects that I can apply to each clip, and my effect controls is where I can manipulate those effects. This is my workspace. This is how I use it. This is a great workspace to use with the limited space you have available on a laptop screen. If you have multiple screens, you can go ahead and bring in new stuff. If you get rid of a window that you thought you didn't need, maybe you need it later, you can go into the Window tab, find that particular tab, click on it, and it'll come back to you. Once complete and you've decided this is the workspace that you want to use for essentially the rest of your life, go right into Window and to Workspaces and choose Save as New Workspace. I can name my workspace, and once that's done, it doesn't matter what I go to, what other setups I have based on these presets and these tabs up at the top. If I want to go to my workspace, I can go to Window, Workspaces, choose mine, and it'll go right back to the default that I have set up. I hope this was informative and this helps you to get the project up and running. Please stay tuned for the rest of the videos that will help you to import, build timelines, and apply export to your project.